UK and Rwanda have proposed what officials call an innovative answer to the, quote, deadly trade of people smuggling. What exactly is in this plan?
Well, let's look at the context of this. This government, which is the Brexit government in the UK, is under an enormous amount of pressure to tackle immigration. They've told they won the Brexit vote on the basis of controlling the UK's borders. 3 years ago, fewer than 300 refugees made it across the channel in these rubber boats to the UK. Now that number has leapt to 28,500. This year already 500 a day are starting to come in as we get closer to summer. So it is a crisis in terms of the government's feeling on how it represents what it said it was going to do as the government in power. The innovative response, and this is the result of 8 months of secret talks with the Rwandan government, where not even other members of Priti Patel's department knew that the discussions were going ahead. They had been looking at Ghana, they had been looking at Ascension Island, they had been looking at Albania, all those fell through. Rwanda was ultimately chosen. Refugees that come across the channel, if they're single males, can be told under this new process that they are being forwarded on to Rwanda, where they'll be given support, potentially education, potentially help with their planning for their future, with a view to staying in Rwanda or being deported back to their country of origin. The UK says this is going to be a world-class system which others will follow. Denmark, we know, is already interested, but they think it'll be the envy of the European Union because it's a way, they say, of deterring the gangs. People won't want to cross the channel to come to the UK anymore. The gangs will break up in terms of the money they're making by moving these people across the channel, and people will be giving an alternative to settling in the UK where they won't necessarily be welcome. They say this is going to be a great success.
Right, and Athan, coming to you in Kigali, how is Rwanda prepared for such a plan, and what's been the reaction to it there?
Thank you so much for having me indeed. The reaction has been more or less what we've seen and read, especially in the international media. It was a bit of a surprise to most of us that UK would send refugees to Rwanda. But if you look at what the investment is, the paper itself, the agreement, and the investment that will be put in there, over 130 million pounds, that would allow Rwanda to set up infrastructure in terms of healthcare, accommodation, social amenities and all that, to make sure that the refugees who will be received here will have the best of their stay, and of course the best pathway to their normal lives as as refugees and asylum seekers. It's not something that is unique to Rwanda. In the recent past, of course, Rwanda has received over 130,000 refugees from Congo, from Burundi, from Afghanistan, and recently from Libya. The people who were actually evacuated from the Libya, who are undergoing a certain life that wasn't pleasant, and they are being accommodated here as they wait for the transfer to the receiving countries. So it's something that is already happening. The facilities are already there, but this is a unique case altogether, where Rwanda is going to receive people from the UK, who are legally there, and they will be allowed to stay here, be integrated in their communities, given pathways to different lives, as be received, integrated. But also those who actually don't feel like they want to stay here, according to the authorities, they will be allowed to either go back to their homelands or seek refugee in other countries. So the reaction is, how is it going to be done? Already, the government has already set aside one of the facilities that used to receive young genocide survivors who are already graduated and they started working. So this facility is already almost empty. So they believe that first arrivals will be taken into this facility. And of course, it's being emptied. The genocide survivors, genocide against the Tutsi happened 28 years ago. So of course, the youngest at that time, I think 28, you can believe that these are young men and young women who have already started their own lives, and they actually exited the hostel. So some people will be received and be accommodated in that facility.
Right. You've both mentioned the strong reactions to this. Andrew, why is the UK coming under criticism for this decision, and is there an alternative?
Criticism's coming from mostly inside the UK at the moment, but it may well follow that other countries will take a view on this once the programme's up and running. The opposition party, the House of Lords, the Archbishop of Canterbury, NGOs and other organisations and refugee care organisations have all spoken out already, saying that this is cruel, that it's distasteful, that it's vicious, that it's grotesque. How can you take people who come to the UK fleeing from wars in Afghanistan or Syria and simply put them on a flight to East Africa where they've never been before, to a country they've never been before, perhaps have never even heard of, and tell them that that is where they're going to build their new home? They say it's not going to work. They say it's too expensive, that it's going to cost too much to fly these people. And also, if you look at the hotels that are set up in Kigali at the moment, one so far has been identified to British journalists. That holds 100 people. They're hoping that this injection of cash that's been promised by the UK government will allow the Rwandan government to build more hotels. They've got plans for 2 more. That ups the numbers to something like 300 rooms, perhaps capacity for maximum 500 people. That pales in comparison to the 30,000 already held in the UK at the moment, with another probably more than 30,000 expected to make the crossing this summer. Critics don't think it will deter the smugglers at all, and the rules about single males only being sent to Rwanda, people suggest, well, that will mean that more people will bring their families. There'll be more children brought in that otherwise might not have been brought in. Many of the refugees coming to the UK come ahead of their families to try and pave a safe path. That may change. There's also concerns about how LGBT people are treated in some African states. That may mean more people will declare that they are either gay or LGBT to prevent the UK being able to process them. There's all sorts of minefields for them to pass through. But the one thing the government here sticks to and says it's sure of, and why it says this will be a world-beating system, because thus far, even putting the Navy in charge of protecting the channel rather than the border force, which has been doing it up till now, even with putting soldiers on boats on the channel, no one's really come up with any other solution to prevent these numbers increasing and heading across Europe through into the UK. No one has been able to suggest any other path other than fixing the problem at source. In other words, stopping wars from happening in Afghanistan, from happening in Syria, stop the brain drain leaving many African states with people seeking new lives in Europe, prevent it happening at source. But other than that, no one's come up with any other suggestions. So the government remains confident that in time, this will work.
All right, and in light of this, Athan, back to you. Why do you think Rwanda agreed to this plan?
Well, like I said, it's not something unique to Rwanda. Rwanda government in the recent past, they have received so many refugees indeed, and the fact that most Rwandans were refugees at some point. Well, the fact that, including myself, and my family, most of us came back to the country. But again, looking at the plight of the refugees, understanding what they're going through, and then I think, according to the authorities, is what motivated the authorities to receive immigrants to come. The history of Rwanda receiving so many refugees, being a small country, but being accommodative of the refugees, and I think, and the fact that the government has a history of accommodating the best possible in the region, possible conditions for refugees, setting up. They're already receiving immigrants from Afghanistan. There's a school that actually came here and established itself when the new government came into place in Afghanistan, and then of course people were being evacuated from Libya, and the refugees from Burundi who actually escaped fights in 2015 conflicts, and of course refugees coming in from Congo. They've been there, and then this the fact that it also comes with a package of we are giving you finances to make sure that you set up facilities that are conducive for refugees. I think it's something that was enabling. If it wasn't there, like what the authorities are saying, they were still going to receive them. But being supported and given the finances and the resources to give the refugees the right pathway to life and best environment to thrive and of course start their lives afresh. It's something that motivated the government Rwanda to receive these refugees according to the authorities here.